2nd. But the big news yesterday, Steve Kerr agreeing to a 2-year deal, returning to the Warriors as their coach after, exactly 3 weeks of deliberating. How did this come together?
Bill, it's a 2-year contract for Steve Kerr to return as head coach of the Golden State Warriors. Sources tell me that it makes him and keeps him the highest paid coach in the NBA moving forward. And for this 13th season and beyond with the Warriors, but Steve Kerr did contemplate stepping away after a legendary 4-championship run over the course of 12 years so far in Golden State. But I'm told Kerr met with Joe Lacob, the Warriors owner, multiple times over the last 3 weeks, face to face. And the conclusion was Steve Kerr wanted to coach. Joe Lacob and the Warriors welcomed him, wanted him back on this team. And the sides moved forward and just figured out what does this team look like into the summer, playing style, obviously the contractual terms as well. But this now clears the way for Steve Kerr to coach for the final years of Stephen Curry's career in Golden State, and now also gives them a sense of direction. They are going to be out there in the marketplace looking for a star caliber player to pair with Stephen Curry, with Steve Kerr as the head coach. They have 4 first-round picks. We'll see what happens in the lottery later today, as well as tradable contracts.
Yes, a ton of intrigue ahead for them in the offseason, but they know they'll have Kerr back year 13 with Golden State. He turned 61 in September. Shams, we do have playoff basketball today. Knicks-Sixers first up. OG Anunoby missed Game 3 for New York with that hamstring strain. What's the latest on his availability for Game 4 this afternoon?
Phil, the good news for the Knicks is I'm told it's a minor hamstring strain for OG Anunoby, but he is listed questionable for later today. And with the Knicks up 3-0, there is certainly a feel that the team is going to consider making sure they take the long-term approach here with OG Anunoby, with the Eastern Conference Finals losing coming up. But he's going to be getting treatment up to game time today to see how that hamstring feels leading up to game time.
Yeah, and he's a key player, up to scoring by 4.7 points per game, regular season to playoffs. All right, Shams, reason you're posted up in Chicago for today, the draft lottery, 3 p.m. Eastern on ABC. What storylines do we need to know for today?
So, Phil, I'm going to give you 3. The first one is the big trade that happened last draft, which is Atlanta acquiring the most favorable of the Pelicans and the Bucks picks. That pick has a great chance going into today to being a top potential pick. The other one that I'm keeping an eye on, I'm going to give you 3, Phil, is the Pacers. They traded a top 4 protected pick for Ivica Zubac at the deadline last year. Zubac is going to be a big-time player for them moving forward. But if that pick moves out of the top 4, it will go to the Clippers. There's a 50-50 chance for that. And then the Oklahoma City Thunder will have a shot at a potential top pick. They own the Clippers' first-round pick in this draft. So wherever the Clippers fall, the Thunder are getting that pick. A lot of intrigue. Again, the Clippers got off to a slow start this year, 6-21. There was a fear across the league that the Thunder would end up with a top number 1, number 2, number 3 pick. We'll see where they end up today.
Yeah, the Thunder, a 1% and change chance to get that number 1 overall pick, and you roll your eyes, but Dallas was 1.8% last year they won it, and even the year before, the winner had a 3% chance. Shams Charania, thanks so much for joining us here on SportsCenter. To a 2-year contract to return as Warriors coach. Kerr will remain the highest paid coach in the league, per league sources, and next season will be his 13th on the Golden State bench. Kerr's bound for Springfield, inevitably one of the most decorated coaches in NBA playoff history. Not just 4 titles. His .684 postseason win percentage ranked 2nd all-time, only behind 11-time champ Phil Jackson, who coached Kerr during the Bulls' 2nd three-peat in the late 90s.
History says it's a must-win tonight for the Lakers.
Rui Hachimura and Luke Kennard. Where will the Lakers be without that duo?
Turnovers starting to mount for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Gilgeous-Alexander starting to catch fire here in the 3rd.
Your playoff life is on the floor. This is abject frustration.
LeBron James doesn't have it going tonight. Reeves doesn't have it going.
They find themselves in an 0-3 hole.
Yeah, they do. The Thunder taking a commanding 3-0 series lead over LeBron and the Lakers, as NBA analyst Quentin Richardson joins us now. Q. The Lakers were up at halftime, but were outscored in the second half by 25 points. What happened?
Oh, gee, the third quarter, the defense that the OKC Thunder deployed that third quarter, they won the third quarter 33-20, but it started with the defense. They forced 7 turnovers. A lot of them was live on-ball turnovers that turned into transition buckets and things like that. But also they began doubling up on Austin Reeves and LeBron and speeding those guys up and making things more difficult. But ultimately, the defense came on, and SGA got going in that third quarter. And once you got to the fourth quarter, Mr. A.J. Mitchell, if you didn't know him before now you know who he is. He took over that fourth quarter and led them home.
Thunder, by the way, have won all 7 games this postseason, tied for the 4th longest streak to begin a postseason by a defending champion in NBA history. I believe this one might be over, but we'll talk about that another time. Let's talk about the East. Cavs beat the Pistons in Game 3 despite a triple-double from Cade Cunningham, who also had 8 turnovers. What did you see from Cade, especially late in the game?
I felt like he was fatigued, Jay. He's right now. He's led the playoffs in usage rate. He's had the ball in his hand. He's had a heavier load to carry for his team than I feel like any other player. The numbers say so. Like you said, he had a triple-double that game, but I felt like late in the game he got a little fatigue, and those were like some little like just mind funk turnovers that he had right there. But also he played while leading the league in usage rate. He played 39 minutes in that game and led everybody in the minutes. So I think it was just a simple thing that down the stretch he got fatigued and he made a couple little simple mistakes. Fatigue
leads to turnovers. He has 58 this postseason. I didn't know this. That's the most in a 10-game span in a single postseason since individual turnovers were tracked in 77, 78. Wow. Q.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. That's all we got. Mr. Richardson.
Program on the call for Game 4, then on the call in the Eastern Conference Final, all the way to the NBA Finals and legs. That's a place we very well could see the New York Knicks appear in. But first, they got to complete the sweep against Philly. How do they get it done?
Well, look, their defense has been incredible, and this is what championship defense looks like. You take a look at a team that's won 6 straight games. 5 of those, they've held their opponent under 100 points, the lowest points per game given up in the postseason. And to me, that's what's been different about this team. It's the consistent physicality with which they have played across the board. It's not just the bigs, it's everywhere, and it's really made life miserable for these elite scoring wings that they've seen in these 2 series. So for me, that's what has stood out more than anything. And if they want to finish the deal and complete the sweep against a Philly team, even without OG Anunoby, if he doesn't play today, that to me is where they're going to hang their hat, because shot making comes and goes in the postseason. We know that. Defense can be consistent, and it certainly has been for the Knicks.
All right, if the Sixers are going to extend this series, the shot making needs to show up in a big way. What is the formula for the Sixers to win Game 4 and push this to a 5th game?
Yeah, look, when you really break down the series, Game 1, they were coming off the 7-game series with Boston, and they got blown out in New York. You kind of almost saw that coming. When you take a look at Game 2, they were in position to win. 1-possession game, 4 minutes to go in Madison Square Garden, and their offense completely dries up in the fourth quarter, and certainly right there down the stretch. Same thing happened the other night in their first game in Philly in this series. They're in position mid-third quarter. They're right there. And then the offense completely abandons them. And I think for me, it's Tyrese Maxey. When you take a look at his field goal attempts per game in this series relative to what he did in the regular season, significantly down. It starts with him, but you're going to need Paul George as well, maybe even the rookie VJ Edgecombe to step up. I think their perimeter players have got to make shots if they get into a situation where this is a winnable game in the fourth quarter. The Knicks are trying to end this. They don't want to extend it. They want to get as much rest as they can. If the Philadelphia 76ers want to extend this, get back to Madison Square Garden, get yourself in position, and then have your best offensive player step up and make difficult shots when the situation requires it. They haven't had that in this series.
We are going to get our answer. Who shows up? Game 4, afternoon delight, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Tim Legler joining the program this morning on SE. Thanks, Legs.